You're not tired. You're drained from fighting battles nobody sees. You're mentally exhausted because the world has convinced you that peace is laziness. You scroll endlessly, seeking dopamine. You say you need rest, but you're not resting. You're escaping. You don't need a nap. You need a rebirth, and nobody's coming to save you. You either take your mind back now or let the system eat you alive. You wake up tired, not because your body is broken, but because your soul is starving. You drag yourself through the day with a smile you don't feel and energy you don't have. Not because you've done too much, but because you've done nothing that fulfills you. That's the real burnout. It's not from action. It's from the wrong action. It's not because you've been grinding too hard. It's because you've been grinding in the wrong direction, chasing tasks that drain you, pleasing people who wouldn't show up to your funeral, following routines that keep your heart numb and your spirit on life support. You're not burnt out from overworking. You're burnt out from underliving. You've confused movement for meaning. You've been running in circles and calling it purpose. The real problem isn't exhaustion. It's internal betrayal. You betrayed the voice inside that begged you to rise higher, to chase something more, to escape the noise and build a legacy. But you silenced it. You shut it up with distractions. You drowned it in comfort. You told yourself, later, tomorrow, next year. And every time you postponed your greatness, a part of you died. Not visibly, not dramatically, quietly, like a slow bleed. And now you wake up each morning already defeated, pretending you need rest, when what you really need is resurrection. The world told you to take care of yourself, but they never explained what that really means. They told you to rest, but they never taught you how to rebuild. They told you to slow down, but they never told you what you're supposed to be running toward in the first place. They handed you a script of coping mechanisms and called it self-care. But true self-care is self-confrontation. It's looking in the mirror and admitting that you've been passive in your own life. It's recognizing that comfort is not the cure. Clarity is. When your life has no direction, your mind will break down. It has nothing to anchor to. Nothing to fight for, nothing to chase. A man without a mission becomes his own worst enemy every single time. You think you're mentally exhausted because you've been going too hard. No, you're exhausted because you've been tolerating a life that doesn't inspire you. You're worn out from pretending to be okay with average. You're tired because your heart knows you're capable of more, but your habits are stuck in a prison built by fear, laziness, and fake comfort. You don't need to unplug, you need to reboot. You need to rewire your entire mindset. You need to stop asking for relief and start demanding transformation. Because you were never built to coast. You were never made for mediocrity. You are a weapon, and the world has convinced you to live like a tool. There is nothing noble about burnout if it's the result of avoiding your potential. There's no honor in suffering silently for a life that makes you feel empty. If your job makes you sick, quit. If your habits make you weak, kill them. If your friends drain your energy, walk away, because nothing is more expensive than staying loyal to things that destroy your mind. And nothing is more dangerous than normalizing a slow death. That's what burnout really is. It's the slow death of a man who stopped listening to his soul. But here's the truth they'll never say on a podcast or in some soft therapy session. Your comeback doesn't require a retreat. It requires war. You want to fix your burnout? Stop treating yourself like a victim and start acting like a general. Audit your life like your future depends on it, because it does. Wake up earlier than the sun, fill your mind with power, not poison, sweat until your lungs scream, read until your thoughts sharpen like blades. Take the pain you feel and turn it into strategy. Let the exhaustion fuel the blueprint for your evolution. Don't collapse under pressure, harden under it. Become unbreakable through it. And don't confuse peace with passivity. Peace isn't the absence of work, it's the presence of purpose. When your life aligns with your values, when your mission lights you up, you don't burn out. You ignite. You don't crave escape, you crave execution. The man with a reason doesn't need motivation. He doesn't need breaks. He doesn't need balance. He's lit from within, and the world feels that heat every time he walks into a room. And that's who you're meant to be. That's what's buried beneath the exhaustion, not a broken version of you, a forgotten version, a savage, a creator, a leader, a fire starter. So no, you don't need to slow down. You need to wake up. You don't need more sleep. You need more direction. You don't need a nap. You need a new life. One that matches the power you've hidden inside for too long. You are not here to cope. You are here to conquer. And burnout That was never your enemy. It was the alarm clock screaming, "Get up! You're not done yet." There was a man I once knew, rich, powerful, physically carved like a statue, reputation sharp as steel, admired by everyone who glanced at his lifestyle. The cars, the money, the women, he had it all. Or so the world thought. But what they didn't see was the war inside his head. Behind the watches and cigars, behind the polished image and controlled voice, was a storm. A silent, chaotic storm ripping through every corner of his soul. Every morning he woke up feeling like a ghost inside a machine. Everything he had built now felt like a golden cage, and even though it glittered, it suffocated him every single day. He didn't understand it at first. He thought maybe he needed a break, a vacation, some self-care, so he flew to tropical islands, sat on private beaches, drank the finest liquor money could buy, and none of it worked. The silence was louder there. Because without the noise of the world to distract him, he had to sit with himself. And he didn't like what he saw. The man in the mirror wasn't tired from building an empire. He was tired from building the wrong one. He had climbed a ladder only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. And that kind of exhaustion, it's not cured by sleep. It's only cured by truth. The truth was brutal. He had spent years becoming who the world wanted him to be and abandoned the man he was supposed to become. He followed strategy without soul. He executed plans without purpose. Every goal checked off his list only reminded him how disconnected he had become from his own mission. That's the most dangerous kind of burnout. The one where you succeed in everything except feeling alive. His body was strong, his brand was global, but his heart was flickering out like the final seconds of a dying fire. And he was too proud to admit it. So what did he do? He disappeared, not physically, mentally. Emotionally, spiritually, he started pulling away, not from the world, but from himself. He became numb, empty, a shadow wearing a crown. He showed up to meetings with perfect posture and dead eyes. He laughed at jokes that didn't touch him. He trained in the gym like a machine, not because he loved it, but because it was the only place left where pain still felt real. And nobody noticed. That's how twisted this world is. They'll praise your discipline while you rot inside, because no one checks on the strong. No one asks if the king is okay as long as the kingdom runs. But one night everything broke. Not because of a tragedy, not because of a betrayal, but because he finally hit the wall he'd been running from. He sat alone in his mansion, lights dim, silence thick like smoke, and he broke. Not loud, not messy, just a silent implosion. His mind folded in on itself. His body felt heavy, his breathing shallow. He didn't post quotes. He didn't vanish to a jungle retreat to find himself. He didn't call friends to complain. He did something stronger. He chose to return, not to the old version of himself, but to the warrior he buried under noise and numbers. He started from scratch, mentally, not financially. He rewired everything. No more yeses to pointless calls. No more pretending in rooms filled with fake praise. No more running from the pain. He faced it. He dissected it. He welcomed it. Because real power isn't found in comfort, it's reclaimed in the fire. That fire burned off everything fake in his life. The fake connections, the fake drive, the fake identity. What remained was him. And here's what most won't tell you. Burnout isn't weakness. It's a signal. It's your soul screaming through the fog, demanding that you return to your path. And yes, it hurts. Yes, it feels like collapse, but collapse isn't the end. It's the detonation you need to rebuild correctly. The problem isn't that you're exhausted. It's that you kept quiet for too long. You've silenced your intuition. You've ignored your calling. You've traded meaning for metrics. And that internal war, it's your reminder, a reminder that you are meant for more than just surviving. You are meant to awaken. The man I told you about, he's alive now, not just existing. Not chasing empty wins. He doesn't need applause. He doesn't care about optics. He built a new empire, not just outside, but inside. And his energy is untouchable. Because when a man burns down everything that no longer serves him, he walks through life with a clarity no system can break. That's what you need. Not a break. Not a weekend off, a full mental resurrection, a ruthless reinvention, a complete destruction of the version of you that's settled, compromised, and tolerated. There's no therapy that will fix a life you don't actually want. You have to rebuild it yourself, and you have to do it now. Because every second you spend in silence, every day you delay your alignment, every night you stare at the ceiling wondering what happened to me, is a second stolen by the old life trying to keep you chained. But deep inside you, there's a man waiting. The man who remembers. The man who's tired of pretending. The man who doesn't want naps. He wants revenge on mediocrity. And the second you unlock him, the burnout disappears. Because fire doesn't fatigue. It only grows hotter. Time isn't slipping away, it's sprinting, full speed, while you hesitate at the starting line, hoping life will slow down for your comfort. It won't, it never has. And the sickest joke of all, most people don't realize it until the countdown has already hit 0. You think you've got years, you think you've got time to figure it out, you think one more day of drifting won't cost you. But while you're asleep at the wheel, someone else is building, moving, sharpening. The world doesn't pause for your overthinking. Opportunity doesn't knock forever. It walks past the door and never looks back. And the saddest part? You feel it. Not now, not today, but one day that regret will choke you in your sleep and it won't let go. There's a clock in your chest that doesn't tick in seconds. It ticks in choices. Every decision you postpone is a brick you place in your own prison. Every excuse you defend is another step away from the life that could have been yours. And when that realization slaps you across the face, it won't be gentle. It won't be poetic. It'll feel like drowning in a sea you poured yourself. Because nothing stings more than the agony of, I could have. And the most dangerous emotion on this planet isn't fear, it's regret. Fear you can fight. Regret you can only remember. People waste their prime pretending they're not ready. They convince themselves they need more knowledge, more preparation, more time. No, you need urgency. You need pain. You need to feel the weight of what you're risking by standing still. Every second you delay is a seed you never plant, a fight you never win, a life you never live. And one day, when you're older, slower, and life has wrung the energy from your bones, you'll look back on these moments, this very moment, and scream internally, why didn't I move when I still had fire in my lungs? The greatest pain isn't failure. It's realizing you never even stepped into the arena. You sat in the stands, watching others bleed, win, rise, fall, while you kept polishing the excuse that you weren't ready. You were always ready. You just chose safety over sovereignty. And now you carry a heavy heart, not because life was unfair, but because you never demanded more from yourself. This world doesn't owe you clarity. It rewards those who walk into the unknown, swinging like demons. Most people think they're waiting for a sign, but the truth is they're avoiding the mirror. They don't want to they become passive participants in their own story, but you're hearing this now because deep down you know you're meant to wake the hell up. Fear isn't the enemy. Fear is the signal. If something scares you, it's probably the exact thing that will evolve you. Comfort is the cage. It's the padded room that whispers sweet lies until your potential suffocates in silence. You think staying comfortable protects you. It doesn't. It rots you from the inside. You lose your edge. You dull your instincts. You forget what it feels like to want something with every ounce of your being. And eventually you become like everyone else, smiling, scrolling, slowly decaying while pretending everything's fine. There's a reason you feel disconnected. It's not depression, it's suppression. You're not broken, you're buried. Your mind knows you were meant for chaos, conquest, momentum. You were not designed to be tamed. You were built for storms. But you've silenced your fire for so long, it's turned into smoke. That's why nothing excites you anymore. You've traded the warpath for a waiting room. And now you sit there, numb, anxious, overthinking, because deep down the beast inside is starving. And every time you settle, it screams. The world is moving with or without you. Doors are closing, people are passing you, spots are being filled, and the brutal truth is this. No one is going to pause the game so you can catch your breath. There are men right now who had nothing last year, and now they're running entire empires because they chose to move while others paused. That's how fast it changes. One decision, one shift, one moment of savage clarity, and suddenly you're no longer watching life, you're dominating it. This is your window, not tomorrow, not after your next breakdown, now, while your heart still beats, while your hands still function, while your mind still burns. Because there will come a day when your body can't catch up with your ambition. And on that day, you'll pray for just one more chance to go all in. Don't let that be your story. Don't let the flame flicker out just because it was easier to stay safe. Nothing about greatness is safe. It's war, it's pressure, it's risk. But the alternative? A quiet, comfortable life wrapped in invisible chains. And let me tell you something they'll never teach in school, never say on stage, never post in your feed. Discipline is the cure to fear. Action is the antidote to anxiety. Purpose is the only escape from burnout. You don't need more motivation. You need to go all in. You need to take the leap you've avoided. You need to put your back against the wall and fight like your life depends on it. Because it does. This isn't a dress rehearsal. This is your one shot at becoming everything you were born to be. And if you waste it because you let fear win, you will carry that loss in silence for the rest of your days. So don't wait for the right moment. There is no perfect time. There is only now, right here, right in this very breath. The version of you that's tired, scared, burned out, it's not weak, it's dormant. You need to wake him up, shake him violently, drag him back to life with every ounce of power you've got left. Because if you don't, the clock will run out and the world will move on without ever knowing who you could have become. If you're still breathing, you haven't lost. If you've still got blood in your veins, you're not finished. But the problem is, you act like your story's over, like life already judged you and stamped you average. That's the disease, not poverty, not pain. It's the mindset that whispers it's too late, when in reality, you haven't even scratched the surface of who you're supposed to become. You weren't put here to tiptoe around life, hoping not to break anything. You were put here to set the damn standard. You were put here to make the world flinch when you move. But somewhere along the way, you started playing small, started shrinking, started talking soft and dreaming smaller. You got domesticated, and now you call it maturity. No, it's spiritual decay disguised as wisdom. You're not burnt out because you work hard. You're burnt out because your work has no meaning. You're not tired because life is hard. You're tired because you haven't done anything worth the exhaustion. You wake up, repeat routines you hate, talk to people who don't challenge you, chase goals that don't stretch you, and you wonder why your fire's dying? Wake up. The lion inside you isn't sleeping. He's suffocating. And every time you hit snooze on your potential, you dig the grave deeper. You don't need a break. You need a resurrection. There is a version of you that's built like iron, that doesn't fold under pressure, that doesn't need validation or applause. He doesn't care who's watching. He doesn't care who doubts him. He wakes up ready to outwork every name in the room because he's driven by something deeper than praise. He's driven by self-respect. And he's still there under the weight of your laziness, your distractions, your excuses. The real you hasn't got anywhere. He's waiting for the moment you finally say enough. And when that switch flips, when you stop trying to survive and decide to dominate, you become untouchable. The fear disappears, the anxiety vanishes, because nothing can touch a man who's chosen discipline over feelings. Most men are slaves to comfort. They chase dopamine like junkies. They scroll for hours, watch others win, and tell themselves stories about why it's not their time. But the few who win, they don't wait to feel ready. They don't pray for perfect conditions. They bleed forward. They use every ounce of pain, every piece of rejection, every failure like fuel. Because when you want it bad enough, pain stops being the enemy. It becomes the trigger. And don't mistake intensity for recklessness. This isn't about chaos. It's about clarity. When your mind is sharp, your mission is clear. You walk into rooms and they feel your presence before you speak. You move like a man with fire in his eyes. That's not something you learn. That's something you reclaim. Something you earn in silence, far away from the spotlight. While others party, you train. While others sleep, you build. While others talk, you execute. Because the difference between the successful and the stagnant is simple. The successful act while the stagnant imagine. I don't care where you came from. I don't care how many times you failed. I don't care what your bank balance says or what mistakes you've made. If you've got a pulse, you've got a purpose. And that purpose isn't to drift through life hoping things get easier. It's to carve your legacy with your bare hands. No matter how broken they are, you don't need comfort, you need consequences. You need to look in the mirror and realize every second you waste is a betrayal to the man you were born to be. You don't build confidence by whispering affirmations into a pillow. You build confidence by doing hard things over and over until you start believing you're the kind of man who can't be broken. You want self-belief, earn it. You want power, forge it. You want respect, show the world why it should never doubt you. Because life doesn't hand crowns to the kind or the polite or the comfortable. It hands crowns to the relentless, to the men who suffer for their greatness, to the ones who get knocked down and stand up with blood in their mouth and war in their soul. And don't expect people to understand you. Don't expect applause for your effort. They'll criticize your hunger because it reminds them of their apathy. They'll mock your ambition because it threatens their mediocrity. Let them talk. Let them sleep. You're on warpath mode now. You've been playing passive for too long. Go all in. Not 70%, not when I'm motivated. Go all in when it's cold. Go all in when you're tired. Go all in when everything inside you screams to quit. Because that's when the transformation happens. That's when the weak version of you dies and the monster inside finally takes over. Don't walk around like you got time. You don't. Stop chasing balance. Chase purpose. Stop looking for easy. Look for impact. Because one day, all the chances you've taken, all the sacrifices you've made, all the sleepless nights and ignored distractions, they'll add up. And you'll look in the mirror and see a man who didn't run from the storm. A man who became the storm. This is it. This is where you decide who you are. Not in theory, not in dreams, but right now in this moment of silence where you've either absorbed the fire or you've wasted the heat. You've listened, you've felt it. Your heart's racing, your instincts are screaming. That's not coincidence. That's a wake-up call. The kind most men ignore because change demands pain. But if you've made it this far, you're not most men. You're one of the few who still feel the pressure in their chests when they look at a wasted day. One of the few who knows that comfort is the enemy and that life only starts when you kill who you've been pretending to be. You think the universe rewards good intentions? It doesn't. It rewards execution. It rewards the man who's willing to walk through the fire, not for likes or for love, but because he refuses to live a life that tastes like surrender. You weren't born to blend in. You weren't made to play fair. You were built to rise, to fight, to dominate. But for that to happen, you must do what 99% will never do. Burn the excuses, bury the laziness, and swear on everything you are that you're going all in from this moment forward. Not tomorrow, not after one more break, now. Because this is the final line. On one side, the life you're settling for, the routines, the fake happiness, the quiet desperation that eats you alive when no one's watching. On the other, the man you know you're meant to become, the one who doesn't settle, the one who doesn't wait for the world to crown him. He builds the throne himself. But to cross that line, you can't tiptoe. You can't dip your toe and pull back when it stings. You have to jump, bleed, sacrifice. You have to want it so bad that comfort becomes poison and fear becomes fuel. Most people stay on the sidelines, waiting for signs while the game of life plays without them. They talk, they theorize, they scroll, but when it's time to move, they flinch. And in that hesitation, their entire future slips away. But you don't have to be one of them. You can decide today that your story ends differently, that your name means something, that your time on this planet wasn't a loop of numbness and delay, but a warpath of growth, power, and undeniable result. You've wasted enough time, you handed out enough energy to people and habits that never gave it back. It's time you redirected that power, focused it, weaponized it. Forget being liked, forget being understood, forget waiting for the stars to align. You align them, you make the damn stars move when you walk. And if that sounds crazy to you, it's because the weak version of you is still running the show. But he's done now. His time's over. The man who doubted, who delayed, who distracted himself into mediocrity, he doesn't make the decisions anymore. The killer takes over now. The savage, the king, the version of you who doesn't hope for greatness, he claims it with his bare hands. The world is flooded with dreamers who never dared to bleed for their dreams. You see them every day. Ghosts walking in flesh, numbing their truth with distractions, hiding their shame with surface smiles. They chose easy. They chose soft, but your destiny isn't carved in comfort. Your destiny is carved in pressure, in lonely nights, in endless reps, in the moments where quitting felt like relief, but you kept going anyway. That's where legends are made. And if you want that kind of life, if you want to wake up proud of the man you are and the empire you're building, you have to go all in, like your soul is on the line. Because it is. You're not running out of motivation, you're running out of time. And if that doesn't light a fire under you, nothing will. This world will take everything from you if you don't step up and take what's yours. Power, discipline, control. They're not gifts. They're forged. They're earned in the silence, when no one's cheering, when no one's watching, when it's just you and the weight of your potential crushing your chest. That pressure, That's the test. And most men fold under it, but you won't. You weren't made to fold, you were made to break records, not promises. This isn't about hype, it's about legacy. What will they say when your name comes up? Will they remember a man who almost had it, who talked about potential but never cashed it in? Or will they speak about the man who walked into the fire and came out forged in purpose? The man who defied odds, silenced doubt, and lived on his terms, without apology, without hesitation, without fear. Make the move. Burn the backup plans. Rip the safety net. Go so far in that going back is no longer an option. This is your moment. And moments like this, they don't come back. If you don't act now, you'll look back in 5 years and wonder why you let this version of you die before he even had a chance to breathe. So stand up, lock in, look yourself dead in the eyes, and say the words that change everything. From this moment on, I'm all in. No excuses, no hesitation. I become who I was born to be, starting right now. And then prove it with action, with obsession, with every breath. Because in the end, no one remembers the almosts. They remember the few who burned their doubts to ashes and became legends.